So Scottie Pippen has been on a promotional tour, selling his book as well as his liquor. I did not know Scottie Pippen made bourbon. Okay, he has his own company that makes bourbon, but that's neither here nor there. But he's been on a promotional tour mainly for his book. A lot of things came out of his books. A lot of quotes came out of his book. And this is going to make his book extremely popular. I feel like a lot of people are going to gravitate to this book to see what else he said in this book. There's a lot of bullet points that came out of this book. One of the bullet points was Charles Barkley was a fake tough guy. There's another quote in the book talked about how selfish Michael Jordan was. He also talked about he was the true leader of the Chicago Bulls. He also talked about Kevin Durant playing hero ball with the Brooklyn Nets. And the most biggest bullet point, the biggest quote everyone seems to gravitate to is Phil Jackson being a racist. When Scottie Pippen went on the Dan Patrick show, Dan Patrick pressed him and asked him, why would you call Phil Jackson a racist? Also pressed him as far as giving some examples of his belief that Phil Jackson is a racist. And Scottie Pippen only talked about one thing and one thing only. He talked about the time when Phil Jackson drew a play up for Toni Kukoc. And he's using that example to prove without a shadow of a doubt, Phil Jackson is a racist. I remember that game, by the way. Also remember in that exact same game, Phil Jackson drew 2 plays for Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen went 0-2. He went 0 for 2. And on the last play, yes, he drew a play up for Toni Kukoc. But people don't remember what transpired after that. Toni Kukoc hits the shot. A lot of people don't realize that. But, we live in a society where people just gravitate to headlines. And that's fine. Okay? And he used that example and that example only to prove without a shadow of a doubt, Phil Jackson is a racist. It's 2021 and Scottie Pippen is still hurt by that decision Phil Jackson made. In that particular time, Phil Jackson was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. They won 3 championships. They had no, Michael Jordan went on retirement. He went to play baseball due to, people, I feel like he made, he even said it, he made the decision because of, he was just honoring his father who passed away. And his father always wanted him to play baseball. And, people grieve very differently. But Scottie Pippen also said in his book that was selfish, what Michael Jordan did. Selfish for him to leave them behind to play baseball. Okay? I get a sneaking suspicion this book has more to do with a lot of things Scottie Pippen did not like. And he did not like the fact that Phil Jackson drew a play for Toni Kukoc when he should have drew another play for Scottie Pippen. Okay, with the possibility of Scottie Pippen going 0 for 3. Okay. Scottie Pippen has some very resentful feelings for Phil Jackson and for Michael Jordan because of the Last Dance documentary did not portray Scottie Pippen in a very good light. And in basketball history, Michael Jordan is going to be Jesus in sneakers. Okay, he's the point where all basketball players, past, present, and future, is trying to gravitate to. He won 6 titles. Everyone is trying to compete with that, even LeBron James. And Scottie Pippen doesn't like it. Scottie Pippen also doesn't like the fact that Phil Jackson has won titles with him, as well as Michael Jordan, won 6 titles with the Chicago Bulls, and went on hiatus, became the coach of the LA Lakers with a young Shaq and a young Kobe, and he did his thing there as well, won titles as well. And when you look at Scottie Pippen's, the rest of, after he left the Chicago Bulls, Scottie Pippen stayed 1 year with the Houston Rockets. Said he couldn't play alongside Charles Barkley. He demanded a trade. He got his trade. He got his wish. He went to a very talented Portland Trail Blazers and couldn't even get them to win a title. And that was it. On top of other things off the court, Scottie Pippen has done that really doesn't paint him in the best positive light, or an individual that makes the right decisions, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what this video is for. But Scottie Pippen is still hurt. He's resentful of a lot of people big upping Michael Jordan, big upping Phil Jackson, because after those titles in Chicago, Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson were living their best life. Okay. Michael Jordan went on hiatus and went back to the NBA, played for the Wizards, and really didn't get the Wizards to a championship. That wasn't their intent. They would love for it to happen, but it just didn't happen. And the possibility of him owning the Washington Wizards, that fell through. He left the Washington Wizards and he became the owner, a part owner of the Charlotte Bobcats. And then he was the numero uno owner, the majority owner, and renamed it the Charlotte Hornets. And now he's an owner for the Charlotte Hornets. His sneakers do well. Michael Jordan hasn't touched a basketball in many moons, and Jordans are still the top selling sneaker. And it seems like nobody's going to, and everyone else is a distant two. No one's never going to eclipse Michael Jordan, particularly in shoes, and he's in fashion, and he's a basketball owner. He owns the Hornets. He also owns a NASCAR team. He's just living his best life. And Scottie Pippen, with Phil Jackson, he was a coach for the LA Lakers, won some titles there. Then he went into the front office. He wanted to be in the front office with the Lakers. Him and the Buss family, more so the sons, did not see eye to eye with Phil Jackson. But, Phil Jackson was in the front office for the New York Knicks. Really didn't get the New York Knicks where they're supposed to be, but the man got opportunities and jobs, and his name still resonates in NBA. And Scottie Pippen has been on. His wife has been on reality shows, and now Scottie Pippen works for ESPN. That three-headed monster back in the 80s and early 90s. Out of the three, Michael's living his best life, Phil's living his best life, and Scottie works for ESPN. Funny how that works. And I know he feels some he resents their success. And he resents their fame. They're more famous than Phil Jackson, and Michael Jordan are more famous than Scottie Pippen. Hell, Scottie Pippen's wife, Larsa Pippen, is more famous than Scottie Pippen. It's weird. Scottie Pippen is not even getting seconds. He's just getting fourths. Okay, he's not. And I feel bad for him. And it just goes to show how bad is it for Scottie Pippen. He has to make this book. And I feel like this book is really going, and a lot of people are not talking about this. I feel like at the end of the day, he's going to make a lot of money on this book. But I feel like this book is not really going to help his image, particularly in the basketball world. And I feel like this book is going to be very negative as far as him getting an additional contract to stay at the worldwide leader of sports. But I feel like Scottie Pippen feels like the bridge is already burnt with that. He's probably coming to the end of his contract at ESPN or close to it. Or he may be already out of his contract with ESPN. And, he's not making a lot of money being a personality at the worldwide leader. Okay. They're not paying him buku's money. Okay. So I think he's going like, you know what? If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with a bang. And he's just going to make his money there, sell his bourbon, and try to be an entrepreneur. I feel like it's never too late to be an entrepreneur. Okay. Michael Jordan is an entrepreneur. Magic Johnson is an entrepreneur. LeBron James is an entrepreneur. Why I mention those three names? Scottie Pippen is never going to eclipse those three names. Okay, he's trying to rebrand himself, and have his own image. His Scottie Pippen has been taking a lot of hits for the past couple of years. Him and Future was beefing. The only time Scottie Pippen's name was mentioned because he was beefing with Future because allegedly Future banged his wife and he got into the papers for all the wrong reasons. Okay, so Shaquille O'Neal came to as well as many other players came to the defense of Phil Jackson, and they all are saying that Phil Jackson is not a racist. Okay, Phil Jackson is a lot of things. I feel like Phil Jackson he's an attention-seeking whore. Okay, he loves to take credit. He loves to accept it and take credit. He's into that Zen type of stuff. He wants to be considered as a guest. He's a speaker. He's a lot of things. An egotistical maniac. He's a lot of those things. I don't perceive Phil Jackson as a racist. And the examples Scottie Pippen used on the Dan Patrick Show does not reflect that Phil Jackson is a racist. But that's neither here nor there. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next video. Deuces.